Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
To the NBA we go and look at the Western Conference race.
All right.
Oklahoma City has clinched the top seed in the conference with a record of 65-14, which means they will not win 70.
Right.
Thank you, Lord, like some people thought. The Houston Rockets are in, and they, I believe, have clinched their division. Yes, they have clinched the Midwest division with a record of 52-27. And here's where the mess starts.
Yeah.
3 through 7 have the same record.
Right.
Clippers, Nuggets, Warriors, and Grizzlies. 3 through 7. That means if anybody slips up in the final 4 games, 3 games rather, there's 3 games left.
Yeah, 3 games. Yep.
Anybody slips in those last 3 games, they're going to the play-in round.
Right.
Phoenix is about to be eliminated because they're going to get a foot put in them tonight.
Right.
Tell me, and I want your honest opinion.
Okay.
How did the Warriors get back in this race so fast?
Well, we cannot express the praises enough of how great the Warriors strategy went down by picking up someone that everyone said was uncoachable.
Yeah.
And that was being Jimmy Butler.
Good point.
Everyone kept saying he's not coachable. I've heard it when he was with the Bulls. I've heard it when he was with the Heat. He's showing you different. Apparently, Steve Kerr is the whisperer because he looked coachable to me, and he has been dynamite for the Warriors. The Warriors have been looking for another bona fide scorer ever since the departure of Klay Thompson. So now you still have Draymond. Steph now has a ginormous weight taken off of him because now he has someone he can pass the ball to, someone who can shoot. Not to mention Buddy Hield and what he's been able to do.
Yep.
The Warriors got their act together and they were able to win on the road. That was their boogeyman last year. It is not their boogeyman this year. And it shows you what a well-advised and well-timed trade can do rather than the ill-timed and ill-advised trade that happened
between the Mavericks and the Lakers.
Exactamundo.
Now, here's the other thing that is so great about Golden State. Everybody wrote them off. Then the Jimmy Butler trade happened. Do you know that there are some people, even today, that are still talking about the Luka Doncic trade?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of talking about Jimmy Butler. If you could grade it, no, let me put it another way. In terms of impact, Luka Doncic gets traded for Anthony Davis. Jimmy Butler gets traded for Andrew Wiggins. Who do you think has the biggest impact? It's no contest.
It really isn't.
Jimmy Butler. Because the Warriors are 21-6 since his arrival. Think about that. 21-6 since he got to Golden State. And Jimmy Butler said something on the plane that really got my juices flowing and really wanting me to pick up my coverage for Golden State.
Right.
Even with everything else I got to get organized and my health getting organized and things like that. When he said championship coming, I believe it. I believe that the Golden State Warriors can win the Western Conference. Hell, let me be really frank. With the addition of Jimmy Butler, I believe the Warriors can win the World Championship.
It could.
Because now, as you said, they have a second bona fide scorer. They have someone that can get to the free throw line a lot because they're not going to call any fouls for Steph.
Right.
They're not going to call any fouls for Steph. They still, in his 16th year, look at him as if to say, "Oh, he's not worth anything."
Right.
In his 16th season. Really? It still angers me to this day that they treat Steph Curry as an afterthought. This is the same fella that has 2 MVPs, one of them unanimous. In fact, the only unanimous MVP. Let me say that again. The only unanimous MVP.
Right.
All right? It just makes me so mad that they still. What do you think, Vic? Give me your thoughts.
Why they won't give Steph fouls?
Why
or
they still not just that, but why they still treat him as an afterthought?
You already know why. It's a very simple answer. Because it's still all about one person.
Yeah. One person who wishes he can do this.
9 seconds to work with, and you do have it in single digits. And that was the goal when you were down 22. Steph from midcourt. Oh, come on! Did he ghost him on that too? Oh my goodness, Curry from 45 feet. Yo, this dude is an alien. What did he just do? He had one from three-quarter court in Orlando. He's double teamed. He had nowhere to go. Steph's got 16.
Nah.
And yet I still have people saying it would be better if LeBron had did it. LeBron would have done it better.
I got those responses too. I'm finally getting active on Discord. and I say finally because I look at some of the notifications and I'm like, I'm not responding to that.
But the main thing is that they view Steph really the same way they viewed Derrick Rose circa 2011, 2012. Like, if you're going to go in there, if you're going to slice and cut in there, you better ready to take that punishment. And so that's why they're not giving him the calls, because it's like, well, you chose to go in there instead of playing in your position, on the outside.
I still think to this day that the rivalry of Cleveland and Golden State should not have been.
It should have been Cleveland and Chicago.
It should have been Chicago and Golden State.
Yeah, it should have been Chicago and the Warriors.
It should have been the Bulls and the Warriors. That should have been the rivalry, and that would have stretched longer.
Yeah, it would have been Rose versus Steph.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to see that.
And honestly, it probably would have gone 2 chips apiece.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, it could have been 3
maybe 3. Because Derrick Rose had the Warriors on the cusp of a championship in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Had the Bulls on the cusp,
and they would have beat they'd have beat the daylights out of the Mavericks.
Yeah, they would have.
All right, they would have beat the daylights out of the Mavericks, but injuries killed them. Part 2, think games 2 through 5, the referees swallowed the whistle.
Yep. Well, they swallowed the whistle for one team, and they blew the crap out of them the other team.
Yep. They swallowed the whistle for the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but back to this Western Conference race. The Nuggets are in shambles because they fired Mike Malone, they fired their GM yesterday.
Which was dumb. Absolutely dumb.
Absolutely dumb.
You got a team that is really ready to blow the doors off the West, and maybe be a team that could dethrone the Warriors as a dynasty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it would have been a dual dynasty. Both of them.
Yep.
Both of them.
For some reason, management stupidly got in the way again.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see what happens in the coming months, because I don't know how long Denver's going to be for this playoff run now that their coaching staff is basically thrown for a loop.
It's thrown, and not only is it thrown for a loop, Denver could slip all the way to 7 in the conference.
Yep.
If they slip in any way, for Golden State to move up to his closest 3, they must win out.
They have to run the table.
They must run the 47 wins they have so far have got to become 50. They've got to win out. They got an easy one tonight with the Spurs. They close with the Clippers on Sunday.
So they close to the Clippers.
And I'm doing that one.
They should be able to beat the Spurs. What are the golden?
There's a middle game in that.
I'm trying to find out right now.
Okay. Victor's doing our research for the day. Educated Tyrone in the house. Rose versus Steph versus Kyrie would have been debated to this day. Nah, Rose versus Steph. Kyrie wouldn't even be part of the conversation.
No, I can see Kyrie. If Kyrie was left to his own devices, yes, he could have.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you all that.
If Dan Gilbert didn't step in the way and pull Bron back to Cleveland, I think Kyrie could have been something really special.
You know what? I agree because the team was supposed to be built around Kyrie.
Okay,
it was supposed to be built around Kyrie Irving.
It's Portland.
And he was finding his stride. What's the other game?
Portland. They go to Portland, take on the Trailblazers. That's April 11th at 9 p.m.
That's Friday.
So the last 3 games are tonight at 9 against the Spurs.
They go to Portland.
The 11th on Friday and take on the Portland. And then they host
the Clippers.
And that is a 2:30 p.m. game on Sunday afternoon.
I'm doing all 3.
All right.
I'm doing all 3. I'm doing the finish of the Warriors season, and we're going to follow them all the way through the playoffs. Educated Tyrone says, I agree. Rose versus Steph still could have been the main rivalry if the Bulls kept going on their trajectory. But management got in the way of a dynasty returning.
2 things happened that really harmed the Bulls. What happened in games, like you said, 2 through 5
in 2011 West Finals,
with a lot of very questionable calls. We'll get to that later. And then 2012 when he went against the 76ers, I believe.
76ers.
And unfortunately, D Rose suffered that horrendous ACL.
That killed him.
And I watched it with Bill and Nick because
watching it. Man, look, I was watching it while I was doing a softball game at where the heck was I? South Suburban.
And
I was at South Suburban that day.
We were so hyped.
And the Bulls were busy blowing the doors off of the 76ers in the United Center. And then that happened.
I was like, oh, that's it. Because as soon as he couldn't put weight on his leg, I'm like, that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And we all knew it.
Yep. Because when someone falls, you know how painful it is. Even if you never had that type of injury before, when you see that person and they take a tumble like that and then they can't put pressure on, it's like, that's it.
I was close to having that kind of injury. I was so close to having that.
Let's see,
having that kind of injury.
Who else is in this race? You said it was the Memphis, Lakers, the Warriors.
3 through 7. Lakers, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Warriors, and Clippers.
Okay, so let's take a look.
You got 5. You got 5 teams, 4 within a game of the Lakers.
Yep, Lakers.
Because the Lakers could lose out.
They could.
The Lakers could lose out because the
Lakers have kind of a mountain to climb because they take on the Mavs tonight. Friday they host Houston. They host the Rockets, and then they go to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. That's the Lakers' last 3 games.
Dear Mavericks and Rockets, please beat the hell out of the Lakers. Please.
Rockets games. Rockets games go this way. They got the Nuggets as the cap. They take on the Lakers on Friday, and they take on the Clippers tonight.
The wild card in this, the 2 wild cards in this, the 2 wild cards in this are the Clippers and the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because everybody, myself included, slept on the slept on the Clippers.
Yeah, I kind of wrote the Clippers off too.
I did. I'll admit it. I slept on the Clippers, and the Clippers leave the season series against the Warriors. So that final game could decide not only the Pacific Division, it could decide where they both fall in the standings.
Yep. The Nuggets take on the Kings tonight. They host the Grizzlies on Friday, and then they go to Houston to take on the Rockets.
The Nuggets are probably going to lose 2 out of 3. And that's Memphis and the Rockets.
Yeah.
Educated Tyrone says, salute, Snowman. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. He also says, aren't the Mavs a little more healthier now? Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
because one of the people that they traded for got injured. One of the people they got injured, they traded for got injured.
Figure that out.
How crazy is that?
Thank you, Al Michaels. How crazy is this?
Like,
how crazy is this finish?
Oh my God. Clippers face Rockets tonight. Friday they go to Sacktown to take on the Kings. And as you know, the nightcap or the cap of the season is against the Golden State Warriors.
And that, I believe, is in San Francisco.
That is in San Francisco.
Okay. That is in Frisco. So the Chase Center on Sunday, and we all talked about this back by Christmas.
Right.
That the Clippers, the Warriors and the Lakers could all come down to the final day of the season.
Yeah.
To see which spots they land in for the NBA playoffs. And on top of that, who wins the Pacific Division?
Now I ask this question. With how close this race is, does it speak to the monumental meltdown of the Lakers? Because Lakers were basically surging.
They were running away with the Pacific Division.
Does it speak to a monumental meltdown of them, or just an upsurge of the teams around them? Because
it's both. It's a bit of both.
Okay, because I would never expect the Clippers to be where they're at. Nuggets, I kind of figured.
Nor would I.
Nuggets, I figured. Rockets, I figured, because I know Rockets are a defensive dynamo. And, of course, you can never sleep on the Warriors.
This is going to be a fun race.
Oh, my God.
This is going to be a fun